What's up everybody, welcome back to Let's Build a Legend of Zelda roller coaster. My name is Attacking Toucans, and in the last episode, we began building the Grand Hyrule Castle, kind of themed off of Hyrule Warriors and Twilight Princess. Now we are not going to waste any time today, we're going to jump straight into this build. So the very first thing that I worked on was the opening entrance section for the castle. I included this fountain created by Steam Workshop user Ayuna. She created this Zelda themed fountain with a beautiful Hylian crest in the center, and I thought it would be just a wonderful addition to the opening section of our castle. And then I built a sidewalk and barely covered it with these stone bricks so guests could still walk around this little opening plaza area, but it would seem a little bit less restrictive since you can't actually see the paths that they're walking on. It seems like the guests are going to be just walking around in this open little courtyard section, which I think is going to be way more realistic in the long run. If you cover the path with any sort of ground floor pieces, it instantly makes it look like the guests are walking around free will in whatever area they're in. And I'm going to be doing that a lot in this castle area, so it'll look like the guests are freely walking around the castle. And then on either side of the entrance, I wanted to add these green topiary hedges and have a courtyard on either side of the front of the castle. I mainly got this inspiration from Legend of Zelda Minish Cap, when you're entering the castle, there's lots of hedges, lots of beautiful trees and stuff on the way in. I kind of wanted to replicate that and kind of give an area for people to relax and really take in some scenery before they walk into the castle. I'm also going to be drawing some mild inspiration from the section of Ocarina of Time where you're trying to evade the guards. Like I said, this isn't an exact replica of any Hyrule Castle from any Legend of Zelda game. It's pretty much going to be a conglomerate of a bunch of different aspects and inspiration taken from other Zelda games to be combined and put into one epic looking castle. So for this opening courtyard, I'm going to be combining some topiary hedges, which are the decorative hedges that are cube-shaped and different shapes. I'm going to be including these elegant archways and gazebos. We'll be placing some guards actually marching through these topiary hedges, so it seems very reminiscent of Ocarina of Time whenever you're dodging the guards. I'll most likely make both sides of this courtyard symmetrical, but still have some elements that make each side different. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do yet, but we'll just kind of play it by ear. Now, I'm going to give some Planet Coaster advice for those of you who play Planet Coaster. Whenever you're trying to copy and paste large amounts of scenery, if you place an item of scenery by itself, this game will not allow you to select multiple items and move them all at the same time. But if you place it in as a building, then it will allow you to select multiple objects and move them all at one time. So for example, this giant line of topiary hedges, what I had to do is I placed a piece of flooring underground to start a building, quote unquote, and then I added all these topiary hedges as part of that building. And when you have these items added as a building section, then it will allow you to select multiple items at once. You can use Control plus click to select multiple items, or you can drag a square and select multiple items at once. Doing this makes building things way faster than trying to place every single item individually, and it's almost necessary when building giant structures like this. This game isn't the easiest game in the world to build things in. It takes a lot of practice and a lot of getting used to, but once you get the hang of things, it's pretty awesome. Like when I first played this game, I didn't like the controls and the building options as much as Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, but then I realized how freaking wrong I was once I started getting the hang of things, and now I'm in complete love with every option this game allows. Now, I didn't want my courtyard to be completely straight edges, so what I did is I copy and pasted a bunch of small sections of these hedges and made a sort of a pizza slice of bushes, or a quarter of a circle if you will, if you want to be more specific. And then I copy and pasted these to try to make an arrangement of hedges that looked a little bit more intricate. The whole entire time while building this though, I wasn't entirely sure what design I was going for, but it would have been way easier while building this if I had just taken a pen and paper and just kind of drawn out a rough sketch of what pattern I was going for, because just trying to come up with stuff like this on the spot while you're building isn't always the best idea. So going into things in the future, I think I'm going to try to plan out some rough outlines of what I'm going to do, draw some blueprints maybe. I don't know, maybe I won't. I'm pretty lazy sometimes, so who knows what I'll do. My life is all over the place, guys. I have no consistency. One form of consistency I'm going to try to keep with this series, though, is the background music. So I decided that every episode I'm going to include Zelda music from a different Zelda game. So the very first episode, I used music from the Twilight Princess soundtrack. In this episode, I'm using music from the Ocarina of Time soundtrack. And in the next episode, what Zelda music am I going to use? You'll have to just wait and find out. It's just gonna be a big surprise every time. Okay, not a big surprise, a mild surprise, but a surprise nonetheless. And then after getting a rough foundation of the outline for these topiary hedges and such, I decided to add some trees in every single small hole that I made with these small little pizza slices, just to add some height and more greenery to this courtyard. Now, Minish Cap, there isn't any trees in the courtyard section, but in A Link to the Past, there is some trees in the courtyard section, so that's kind of where I got that influence, or that's how I'm trying to justify these trees. Not that I need any sort of justification, but that's just some extra icing on top of the influential cake. And then there's also an item of scenery in this game that looked like a smaller version of the Great Deku Tree, and so I decided to put it in this opening courtyard section to pay some homage to the Great Deku Tree. Now, I'm not planning to rebuild the whole entire giant Great Deku Tree in this build. It kind of looks like the Great Deku Tree sapling in Ocarina of Time, but maybe 15-20 years in the future, after it's grown up a little bit more, it's gotten a little bit wiser. It's more of a teenage tree now instead of a sapling. It's really adorable. I'm a fan. The one section of the castle courtyard in Ocarina of Time that I always really liked for some reason was the small gazebo that you were able to walk over. So I decided to make my own small gazebo. It doesn't look exactly the same, but I wanted to put just my own spin of a gazebo into this courtyard section for people to lounge around in if they need some shade maybe. I thought it'd be a nice addition. Now, I do want to take a second and thank you guys for all of your ideas that you left in the comment section on the first video, and then all your enthusiasm towards this project as well. It seems like a lot of you guys are excited about the future of this build, as am I. I cannot wait to see how it turns out, especially just working on it. It's been exciting the whole entire time. I do want to let you guys know though that some of your suggestions were a little bit far-fetched for me. When I say I wanted suggestions of little like Easter eggs to add into the castle, I wasn't looking for ideas. Like some people said, build Death Mountain and Kakariko Village and Olive Water Temple like in the background or something. And although that would be cool, that isn't the entire main focus of the build. I don't have that much space. The edge of the map is right behind the castle. There isn't much more space. I'm not trying to recreate all of Hyrule in this build, but although I do plan to build and recreate a lot of things, but not like the entirety of the game. When I say small Easter eggs, I mean things like Koroks, or the King of Red Lions, or maybe just a character or something you like from the game, or a boss or something, I don't know, smaller things. We have to think on a smaller scale with certain aspects. Alrighty, now we are wrapping up our quaint little castle courtyard. It is looking so adorable. I added some guards pacing back and forth within the hedges, so it would be very reminiscent of Ocarina of Time, like I said earlier. And now we are going to start working on the castle again. Now, one of the main reasons I worked on that small castle courtyard section before working on the castle is because we still have a lot of just main framework to do on this castle, and I wanted to put in some small details to show you guys how detail-oriented I plan to be with this build. Because mainly, as far as castle building goes today, I'm not going to be putting in much more detail. I really just wanted to get a solid framework of the castle so we could get a good sense of the scale the castle was going to have, because in the first episode I built pretty much just the front of the castle, but today we're going to build the side walls and the back walls, and it takes quite a bit of time to do this because I'm trying to be mainly symmetrical. I don't think the castle is going to be 100% symmetrical, but I'm trying to have a good sense of symmetry as far as the architecture goes. I will have some elements of the castle that aren't symmetrical because as far as I'm concerned, most of the Hyrule castles in Zelda haven't been 100% symmetrical. There's been small asymmetrical aspects added to the castle, so I'm definitely going to add some things like that as well. Now, one thing I do plan on building alongside this castle, next to the outer wall most likely, is I'd say the most requested thing for me to build is the Temple of Time. So I will most likely build a Temple of Time next to this castle because I feel like most medieval villages used to have some sort of church or a place of worship, so I might as well include the Temple of Time. And I'll probably try to copy a lot of the architecture style from Breath of the Wild for my Temple of Time, but have the Temple of Time remain intact for the most part. I just think it would be neat to have the Master Sword sitting in its pedestal and to have the guests walk around and explore that section of the Temple of Time. It would just be really cool. Now, the next thing I did is I built an outline of just the shape of the castle in general. I just wanted to know exactly how much space this thing would take up. Now, as far as the width of the castle, it's a little bit small. It's not the largest castle in the world, But at the same time, I'm not necessarily trying to make the largest castle in the world either. I'm trying to keep it at a somewhat reasonable size. Plus, I didn't give myself a lot of space with this outer wall, but I filled up pretty much all the space I possibly could. I could have moved the outer wall backwards a little bit and provided myself a little bit more space, but I took a look at the inside, and I think we have plenty of space to build a coaster on the inside, so I'm not too worried about it. The front of the castle, what the guests are going to see, is what matters the most, and as long as we have enough space on the inside to build what we want to build, we will be completely fine. And I just want to reiterate what I said earlier, to where I'm not adding the detail right now. I'm mainly just building the framework of the structure. We will go back and add plenty of detail to the exterior of this castle in the future. Trust me, oh my gosh, I have so much planned. I'll probably drive myself insane trying to add the detail to this castle, but I drive myself insane doing a lot of things in life. I'm a perfectionist with so many things, and so you can definitely expect that with this castle build. I am just so thankful that this game gives you the feature to select multiple objects at one time and copy and paste them, because if it wasn't for this option, building this castle would be nearly impossible, especially with the scale that I'm building it at. It would have been a travesty and I would have not enjoyed myself. But since I could copy and paste like 12, 15 sections of flooring and wall at a time, it kind of made the process not too painful. And on top of that, I listened to a lot of music while I was building this. I love to listen to music and build things on Planet Coaster at the same time. While recording the first couple of episodes of this build, I was listening to Jaden Smith's new CD, who is Will Smith's son. I'm actually really digging his music. It's pretty impressive. He has some really good flows, and the message of his lyrics isn't too bad. Like, I'm very impressed. But I'll get off that topic because this video isn't meant for musical discussions. Although, at the same time, I do like just briefly mentioning the music I was listening to while recording a certain thing, because I'm going to go back and watch these videos in the future, and I'm going to hear myself say I was listening to a certain album while building this, and I'll be like, oh yeah, like I remember that. I remember that experience. Like, I tie a lot of my experiences live to music I was listening to, so just kind of documenting that. It has a lot of importance to me. So I'm going to go ahead and say the other album I was listening to a lot while building this was the new PNB Rock album, which is a really good kind of chill R&B style of album. It's really good. I'm just documenting this information for future Tyler. Don't worry about it. Unless you do like music, then you can worry about it, I guess. But anyways, we are pretty much at the end of this episode. I got quite a bit done this episode, and I'm really excited about my progress. In the next episode, I'm going to start working on the interior of the castle so we can get a kind of solid idea of what that's gonna look like. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching this episode. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you all in the next one.